We're watching The Search for DB Cooper, and my Twitch chat is here. Say hi! Hi, everyone! Make sure to subscribe and like the videos because then YouTube likes me more, and bigger number, better person. Also, from August 8th to 11th, I'll be doing a sort of marathon subathon stream. If you want to be there to watch me, go check out my Twitch, yeah? But hi! We're all help. I'm trapped against my. He is not. Pay no attention to that comment. We're gonna start the video.
Just let me know.
Keep your mouth shut. Yo!
A daring parachute escape from a flying 727 somewhere between wings.
A search was made of the plane immediately.
Oh right, I kind of have captions on. Let me make it. I think it's fine the way it is. Yeah, it's fine. Let us out. Oh my god. Guys, please. Stop making this sound so bad. But I've always wondered what they use to make the little renders of planes and stuff. Do any of you guys know that? It's something I've always been curious in, but I just didn't know if it was like, I don't know, maybe a like mesh on something in Unity or all that. I don't know.
Flying 727 somewhere between wings.
A search was made of the plane immediately. We don't know who he was, where he came from, or where he went. I expect that we'll keep looking until we find him or find out what happened.
Oh, yeah, he just died. The hijacking.
In the afternoon of November the 24th, 1971, a middle-aged man carrying a briefcase walked into Portland International Airport.
Portland, Oregon! I lived there! Well, not anymore. I don't live there now, but I lived there for a while. What the heck? What a big surprise! If you ever go to Oregon or Portland, Oregon, make sure to try Voodoo Donuts at least once. It's kind of just like, if you're here, you have to try it type of thing.
And purchased a one-way ticket to Seattle,
I've
Washington.
also lived in Seattle, Washington. What the hell? I used to go to a place there called Blue Sea Sushi. I don't eat any seafood, but it was good. I don't mean the seafood, I mean the other items, obviously. But that is kind of crazy, actually.
The man identified
Am
himself
I DB Cooper? No, I can't be. I think I was too young for this. I'm sorry.
as Dan Cooper, and along with 36 other passengers and a crew of 6, he soon boarded Northwest Airlines Flight 305. Once aboard, Cooper made himself comfortable in the middle of the last row of seats on the right side of the cabin. He ordered a drink and had a smoke, because this was the 70s.
Yeah, you know, I'm not this old. I wasn't born in the 70s, so unfortunately I could not have been him. I'm she, but I'll never be her. You know what I'm saying? But, yeah, no. Looks like I'm out of the age range, guys. Sorry. Unfortunate.
Once the flight was cleared for departure, Cooper turned around and handed an envelope to flight attendant Florence Schaffner. Inside the envelope was a note featuring a handwritten message stating he had a bomb. Schaffner reluctantly sat down beside him and glimpsed what appeared to be 8 sticks of dynamite inside his briefcase.
Oh no!
Cooper's demands were quite simple. He wanted $200,000 in cash and 4 parachutes. He also demanded a fuel truck to stand ready to refuel the aircraft once they landed in Seattle. Should they fail to comply with his demands, he threatened to, quote, do the job.
That's crazy.
Once the flight was airborne, Schaffner went to inform the cockpit crew, while another flight attendant by the name of Tina Mucklow remained by Cooper's side. By using a telephone in the rear of the cabin, Mucklow acted as an intermediary between Cooper and the rest.
Did you guys just plug the Discord? I am sorry, YouTube. They keep talking about the basement and doing a jig in the basement. What the heck is with you guys? Jig's harder. You guys are something else, okay? But yes, you can join us if you'd like.
of the flight crew for the remainder of the hijacking. For the next hour and a half, Flight 305 maintained a holding pattern near Seattle, while local and federal authorities scrambled to procure the ransom as well as the 4 parachutes. 10,000 $20 bills were collected from a local bank, while the owner of a nearby skydiving school supplied the chutes. At 5:45 p.m., more than 2 hours past its scheduled arrival, Flight 305 finally touched down in Seattle. By this point, it was well after sunset, and the aircraft was brought to a remote section of the tarmac.
I mean,
Once
it's a
the
good
flight
idea to bring it to a remote section, like in case it does blow up anyway, you know? Just so nothing else gets absolutely destroyed for no reason. But nice thinking to bring him to a remote area. Nice.
came to a stop, both the ransom and the parachutes were handed over to Mucklow, who then brought them back aboard. In exchange, Cooper permitted 2 of the flight attendants as well as all the passengers to disembark, many of whom had not yet realized the flight had been hijacked.
You know, that's actually really smart of them too, to not tell them the flight's been hijacked from the amount of panic it would cause. Oh my... Guys, stop saying you're in the walls. Come on, I'm trying to be normal. I want them to think I'm normal, please. I can't keep doing this, guys. They're not gonna believe it, but actually nice, let them all off the plane. You know?
With the ransom paid and only 4 crew members remaining on board, Cooper told Mucklow to inform the captain that he wanted to fly to Mexico City.
Damn, that's a long flight.
They were to fly with the landing gear down, the flaps at 15 degrees and below 10,000 feet.
Oh.
The lights in the cabin were to be switched off, and the aft stairway, which opens from the underbelly of the fuselage, was to remain extended.
I understand.
2 of Cooper's demands could not be satisfied. First of all, the flight configuration he'd requested would not allow for a non-stop flight to Mexico City. As such, Cooper proposed a refueling stop in Phoenix, Yuma, or Sacramento.
He thought this out completely. He has pit stops and everything. He has thought this out. He said, I have a plan and I'm going to stick to it. You can kind of respect it. And I hope he doesn't end up being a monster, like a full-on monster in this situation. In which case, I am sorry.
They all agreed on Reno, Nevada. Second of all, it was not possible to depart with the ventral staircase extended. Cooper agreed to retract the stairs on the condition that Mucklow remained by his side and taught him how to extend them once the plane was airborne. Parked for nearly 2 hours due to complications with refueling, Flight 305 was back in the air by 7:36 p.m. Less than 5 minutes after takeoff, Cooper told Mucklow to head for the cockpit and that from this point onwards, he was not to be disturbed. The last time she saw Cooper, he was standing in the middle of the aisle as if though he was preparing to jump. Mucklow joined the rest of the crew, locked the cockpit door behind her, and some 3 hours later, Flight 305 safely landed.
Imagine how freaking... It must have been so terrifying to be like a flight attendant, and then this just happens out of nowhere, and it becomes one of the biggest mysteries later on. Unless we found him. Did we find him? Or is he still missing? Maybe I shouldn't spoil the video. I should just watch the video. Apologies.
In Reno. Once the flight came to a stop, the crew carefully ventured into the rear of the cabin, but there was no sign of Cooper, nor the bomb. The aft stairway had been extended mid-flight and was slightly damaged upon landing. It seemed there was only one explanation for the hijacker's absence. At some point between Seattle and Reno, Cooper had strapped on a parachute, walked down the stairs, and leaped into the dark of night.
Watch the video, Pine. Oh, yeah. I don't know why I paused to say. Ignore me. Ignore me. I'm sorry. I'll put the video back on. Apologies. Pauses. I know, okay?
As soon as it became clear that Cooper was no longer on board, dozens of FBI agents converged upon the aircraft, only to discover a disappointing amount of physical evidence. A black clip-on tie, 8 cigarette butts,
he smokes a lot,
and 2 of the 4 parachutes were all that Cooper left behind. Evidently he'd brought the ransom and briefcase along with him.
Yeah.
In interviews conducted on the night of the hijacking,
You're doing
Cooper
great,
was described by
thank
the
you.
crew and passengers as a white male with brown eyes and dark hair. He appeared to be in his mid-40s and wore a dark trench coat, a dark suit, a white shirt, a black tie, and dark shoes.
How much do you want to bet that he actually had a whole different casual fit on underneath it? Like a white t-shirt, some jorts, or like blue jeans, a normal outfit, a watch, you know? Just completely changed the appearance as soon as he landed. It'd be crazy.
Soon after boarding, he'd also donned a pair of sunglasses. Based on this description, the FBI produced the first of several composite sketches. Before they could mount a search, however, the FBI had to figure out when Cooper abandoned ship. But that was easier said than done. None of the 4 crew members witnessed Cooper jumping from the plane, nor did the pilots of
Wouldn't you? I mean, I guess being in that situation is terrifying, but wouldn't you just still want to keep an eye on them to know what time they jumped? Because wouldn't that help with the police investigation or whatever?
2 fighter jets which escorted the flight between Seattle and Reno, which is not all too surprising given it was the middle of the night.
Oh, really? Damn.
Although the flight crew did report something odd. The last communication with the hijacker occurred at approximately 8:05 p.m. when the crew used the intercom to offer assistance, which Cooper declined. Within the next 10 minutes, the crew experienced what they described as an oscillation or vibration of the aircraft.
Oh,
At the time, the crew suspected it might have been produced by Cooper's jump.
He could have left it open for a while before jumping, though, right? He had a bomb pine? Oh. Right.
And a subsequent recreation of the hijacking supported that conclusion. Okay, so that took care of the when, but what about the where? While Cooper was very explicit about the flight's configuration and destination, he never specified any kind of route. In fact, Cooper grew so impatient with the slow refueling in Seattle that he dismissed the captain's request to file a flight plan and simply told him to, quote, get the show on the road. As such, the captain chose to fly along an airway known as Victor 23 without any input from Cooper.
Just immediately, let's just get the show on the road. Let's go. Come on.
By using Victor 23
I
as
mean,
a
yeah,
guide,
you are gonna need the bomb to get the money.
authorities estimated the most probable location of the flight at the approximated time of the jump was about 40 kilometers north of Portland. And so, at the break of dawn, the FBI mounted an impressive search operation using helicopters,
wow.
airplanes, and ground troops. The problem was, even if the estimated bailout point was accurate, Cooper's eventual landing or drop zone was far more difficult to pinpoint.
I mean, yeah.
The loosely defined search area covered a vast stretch of mountainous wilderness occluded by a dense forest. So
it is so
was
beautiful there, though. I just like how beautiful it looks, you know? Yeah, get the show on the road, quit pausing. You can leave anytime.
truly like finding a needle in a haystack. Apart from the difficult terrain, the
But look how
search was
pretty
further
it
complicated
is.
by low temperatures and inclement weather, which persisted for days. Despite their best efforts, authorities never managed to find a single trace of Cooper, nor the items he brought along with him.
Chapter 3. Follow the money, honey.
Having made little to no progress by
Was following the money just like... Imagine in the ransom, when he jumped out, he left it a little bit, like, unsealed. So there's just... there's just bills flying out and they use it as a little trail. That would be funny.
early December, the FBI turned their attention to the $200,000 ransom. The money had been collected from the Seattle First National Bank, which
Also,
maintained
does
a
anyone
ransom.
know how much that 200K would be now? And like, with, what is it called? Inflation and everything? How much would that be now? I don't know.
Package of $250,000 just for such an occasion. Because of this, the serial numbers of the $10,020 banknotes given to Cooper had been documented in advance.
Oh.
A complete list of which were quickly made available to financial institutions, government agencies, and the general public. The intention was to make it as difficult as possible for Cooper to spend his money.
I mean, yeah, that would make it difficult to a sense, unless he just like gives out a lot of the money to different people, or I ask them to break it up instead, you know? Like if I if I robbed a bank and I wanted to make the money you know, launder it or whatever nicely. I just asked someone I know if they could split up, like, hey, can I get 2 10s for this 20? 1.5 mil? Oh my goodness, what? That's crazy! 1.5 million is insane.
Northwest
No wonder
Airlines
they
and
wanted
several
the money.
newspapers even began to offer rewards to anyone who could find a note with a matching serial number. In spite of these efforts, no one ever did. That is until nearly a decade
Oh,
later.
damn.
In early 1980, a young boy named Brian Ingram was building a campfire on a small beach in southern Washington. As he was digging into the sand, Ingram discovered 3 bundles of cash totaling $5,880.
Ooh.
Having heard about the infamous skyjacking, Ingram's parents brought the severely degraded bundles to the FBI.
The kid's a narc. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Good for the kid. Bringing it in, turning it in. Yep.
Notes were promptly inspected, and sure enough, the serial numbers matched those of the ransom. Once the excitement subsided, however, the money managed to raise far more questions than it answered, the most significant of which was how? How did the money end up so far away from the drop zone?
I don't know, is
Looking-
my theory right? Is my theory right that he just had it open and it was just like money flying in the wind? Well, it was a package, never mind. Ignore me. Ignore me.
At this map, it might be tempting to think that Cooper simply dropped some of the money, which then fell into the Lewis River. The bundles could then have been carried further downstream by the Columbia River before finally being washed ashore at Tina Bar, which is the name of the beach. Tina Mucklow, Tina Bar. Coincidence?
Yeah.
Yeah, coincidence. Anyway, the problem with this idea is that the Columbia River flows in the opposite direction.
Oh, okay.
This has led some, including members of the FBI, to re-evaluate the initial drop zone assessment. For instance, if the drop zone was much further southeast, close to a river called the Washougal River, it is conceivable,
no.
albeit improbable, that the money
Imagine they were just looking in the wrong way the whole time. That'd be so oh, I'd be so sad.
floated all the way down to Tina Bar. Alternatively, the bundles may have simply landed on the beach if the flight path was further to the west. Even so, natural explanations struggle to explain how 3 independent, potentially free-falling and or free-floating bundles of
that
cash
was free-floating.
ended up at the exact same place on the same beach. To complicate matters, sediment from the riverbed was excavated and dumped onto Tina Bar as part of a dredging operation in 1974. And according to one analysis, the money was discovered above this layer of sediment. If true, that would mean the money came to rest at Tina Bar sometime after 1974.
Okay, that makes sense.
But a re-examination of that analysis found that what was believed to be a layer of deposited sediment might actually have been a perfectly natural layer of clay.
Oh, no.
Not only that, but the sediment was clearly dumped some distance
I'm
away.
trying to understand. I feel like I'm not understanding any of it. I'm using my brain the best I can. I'm sorry. Okay. Also, if you hear family, I live with family, so apologies. You just kind of had to deal with it now.
From where the money was discovered. Furthermore, when Ingram discovered the bundles, the rubber bands which held them together were still intact. This is significant because experiments conducted in 2009 revealed that this brand of rubber bands could not withstand exposure to open air or water for more than a year. So, unless the bundles were somehow protected from the elements, they must have become buried at Tina Bar within a year of the hijacking. The most probable explanation, therefore, seems to be that Cooper or someone else deliberately buried the money. Did Cooper survive and bury the money himself? Did someone else bury the money after stumbling upon Cooper's remains? If there is an explanation which does not require human intervention, it's managed to elude investigators for decades.
I was gonna say, what do you think? Do you think that someone else found it and buried it? Or do you think that he lived? Or what do you think? I don't see why you would... I don't know. I guess some people that doesn't want to turn in the money, just wants to keep it, would bury it. He ate the money. Okay. I guess he ate the money. Aliens, he lived, fight. So the only one I'm gonna take as an actual comment is he lived. Thank you.
Suffice it to say, This is a mystery within a mystery. Since Ingram's discovery in 1980, both Tina Bar and the grounds around the Washougal River have been subjected to numerous searches, but to date, there's been no sign of Cooper nor the rest of the money.
Huh. No sign, unfortunate. Bro got away with it. Unless he didn't.
From the very beginning, it was assumed by many that Cooper did not survive his daring escape. It would not make for a very thrilling conclusion to this.
I could see, like, the first time somebody's ever learning how to jump out of a plane, the parachute, you mess it up, you know, you just kind of die that way. I can imagine that, yeah.
Story, but that's the thing about stories. They're usually far more exciting than reality. While there is no hard evidence for nor against Cooper's survival, the assumption that he fell to his death is not without merit. When Cooper leaped into the darkness, Flight 305 was plowing through a frigid rainstorm at roughly 170 knots, 10,000 feet above southern Washington. The wind was so violent that it ripped out a placard from the aft stairway, which was later recovered in 1978 almost directly below the estimated flight path. To say that Cooper was not dressed for the occasion would be an understatement. The ground beneath him, meanwhile, was obscured by multiple layers of clouds, which likely means that Cooper jumped without knowing his precise location. Even if he could see the ground and had a specific
Do you guys really think that bro just said, fuck it, I'm gonna hijack a plane and just jump whenever I feel like it to get away with it? Do you think that's what he did? Do you think that's a possibility? I don't. Oh no. I don't want to say it's a possibility, but it would be so funny. Somebody was just done with their day job and they're like, fuck it, we ball, you know?
Drop zone in mind, the parachute he selected was non-steerable, meaning he would not have been able to steer his descent towards a specific landing spot, thus precluding any potential coordination with an accomplice stationed on the ground. While Cooper expressed some familiarity with parachutes, his actual competence level is up for debate. It's widely believed that Cooper demanded 2 pairs of parachutes, 2 primary and 2 reserve, to make the authorities believe that he intended to take a hostage. That is precisely what happened, as the FBI contemplated, but eventually decided against sabotaging the chutes as they did not want to risk the life of an individual.
That's actually a move to make so they don't mess with your parachute. When they showed, in the beginning, when they showed him having the parachutes, my brain was like, wouldn't you just want to sabotage them? And it took me a second to be like, actually, if he's gonna take someone, you don't want to kill someone, you know? You don't want to absolutely just murder an innocent person trying to get... Why are you guys giving me those head pats? Oh, okay, whatever. It's fine. I'm
civilian.
gonna...
But in their haste to obtain them, they unintentionally provided Cooper with a non-functional dummy chute intended for training purposes.
They accidentally did it anyway? Holy shit.
This mishap seems to have gone unnoticed by Cooper because that dummy chute was one of the 2 missing from the plane.
No! Bro had the 50-50, what the heck? What do you mean, oopsie? Well, if he did have a hostage, one of them was gonna die. Oh, no.
Not only that, but Cooper chose the older and technically inferior parachute out of the 2 primary chutes provided. So in both cases, it seems like Cooper made the worst possible choice. But there are other ways to interpret this information. For instance, it's possible that Cooper used the dummy chute not as a reserve, but as a means to secure the bag of money. In fact, that is precisely what Cooper tried to do with the functional reserve chute. First, he tried to place the money in the chute's canopy before removing some of the suspension lines and wrap them around the bag. Perhaps he used the dummy chute for a similar purpose. And Cooper's decision to use the older primary chute is not necessarily an indication of inexperience. It could also be a sign of familiarity, because the chute he left behind was a civilian luxury chute, while the one he used was a military chute.
I mean, yeah, I can see why. No pity pulls on this one. Mordecai? That is insane.
Argument is that Cooper might have been trained as,
Holy
say, a
shit,
paratrooper
dude.
and chose
No,
the
you
older
can't.
military chute because that's the one with which he was most
You
familiar.
can't keep doing
And there is at least one other reason to suspect that Cooper had a military background. While the flight was in a holding pattern near Seattle, Cooper mentioned that the
Okay.
McCord Air Force Base was only 20 minutes away from the Seattle-Tacoma airport. At the time, that was an accurate assessment and might suggest a military background.
Maybe.
Apart from the potential military connections, Cooper may even have had links to the Central Intelligence Agency. You see, the type of aircraft which Cooper chose to hijack, a Boeing 727, was also used by the CIA to covertly drop agents and supplies during the Vietnam War. A task for which the Boeing 727 was uniquely qualified due to its distinctive aft
Or
stairway.
they could just be really into war stuff, no? He might be a Fed though, would make sense. It would be easier access to the information if it was that way, and he could tell if it was... maybe? No, never mind. I was gonna say something, but it sounds stupid. I was gonna say that maybe he could tell the difference in the parachutes from the dummy one to the actual one, but I'm not sure. I don't know. Might be a Fed, might not.
So it's fairly safe to assume that Cooper chose to hijack a Boeing 727 specifically because it provided a relatively safe means of escape. Whether he learned of this from the CIA or came to that conclusion independently is another question. However, the fact that Cooper chose to hijack a flight operated by Northwest Airlines was apparently random
Very.
chance. When Tina Mucklow asked Cooper about his motives,
It's
he
possible,
responded,
Pine?
"It's
Okay.
not because I have a grudge
I'm glad
towards
it's possible and I wasn't just going off my mind with being stupid. I'm glad.
your airline, it's just because I have a grudge." He further clarified that Flight 305 just happened to be in the right place at the right time. Even so, it's clear that Cooper came prepared. He seemed to know a great deal about aircraft and aviation, he appeared to be familiar with the local terrain, he maintained a low profile to avoid a panic, he covered his eyes with a pair of glasses to conceal his
Yeah,
identity,
he's
he left
smart.
very little evidence behind, and he demanded 4 parachutes to force the assumption
At
that he
least
was...
he didn't fly Spirit. It's really wild, demon. That is insane. I
taken
can't.
hostage.
I can't
He
with
was
you.
even
I don't
cunning
even
enough
think...
to reclaim the
no.
note which he'd initially given to Florence Schaffner. Apart from the name he wrote on his plane ticket, there are no other samples of Cooper's handwriting. But for all his planning and cunning, it seems Cooper did not give enough thought to his eventual escape. Not only did he fail to specify a route, but he was forced to make a last-minute destination change from Mexico City to Reno. He could have demanded more appropriate parachuting equipment like a pair of boots, a helmet, or jumpsuit. He could even have specified the ransom to be delivered in larger denominations to make it lighter and less cumbersome to carry. Presuming he did survive the fall and made it safely to the ground, he may then have had to make his way through a dense, partially snow-covered forest in nothing but loafers and a trench coat in late November. I get the distinct impression that Cooper's escape was much more of a leap of faith than a carefully
I was gonna
executed...
say, yeah, it kind of seems more like it's just a leap of faith. Especially because he couldn't see it unless he planned it based on times. I'm not sure.
to jump. On the other hand, authorities never received a missing persons report matching the description of Cooper in the wake of the hijacking. This might suggest that Cooper did survive and that he swiftly and quietly resumed his normal routine. Furthermore, other hijackers have
I
performed
mean, if you,
similar...
like, robbed a bank or did something like this, wouldn't you resume your normal routine to try to stay, you know, hidden from everything? You know?
stunts, and many of them did survive even if they were quickly apprehended. Finally, the simplest explanation for how 3 bundles of cash ended up at Tina Bar is human intervention. At the end of the day, most of this is based on nothing but supposition. Without any concrete evidence of Cooper's demise, it leaves the door wide open to the far more exciting proposition that he did, in fact, survive. By the time the press got wind of the hijacking, the FBI had already begun to investigate a few potential suspects. Among them was a man in Portland with initials DB and surname Cooper.
It must be unfortunate to have the initials of somebody who did a horrific crime. That must be so, so unfortunate.
This Cooper was
No.
quickly eliminated as a suspect, but due to a mix-up by the press, the name Dan Cooper was confused for D.B. Cooper, and the rest is history. While Dan Cooper is most likely a pseudonym, there is a comic book series of the same name. The comic
Oh.
is written in French and centers around a Canadian pilot named Dan Cooper. While the comic was not translated into English nor sold in the United States before 1971, it was available in Canada, which has a large
The
French-speaking
lore
population.
is getting me.
Given that American and Canadian accents can be difficult to distinguish, it's possible that Cooper
You guys
was
can't
described
say you French at everything. Guys, please, you can't say you French. French people aren't that. Come on. Whatever.
as having no discernible accent was a bilingual Canadian.
Oh.
This might even be supported by something that Cooper might have said. You see, when the captain relayed Cooper's demands to air traffic control, he used the phrase negotiable American currency.
Oh.
It seems doubtful that an American citizen would specify American
I mean,
currency,
yeah.
so perhaps Cooper was not American. The problem is, we don't know if this is a direct quote from Cooper or paraphrasing by the captain. For instance, notes taken by the crew during the hijacking merely contain the phrase negotiable currency, while testimonies provided by the crew after the hijacking include phrases like $200,000 in cash and circulated US currency. So Cooper might have been Canadian, and he might have taken his name from the Dan Cooper comics, just as he might have been American and might have taken his name from something or someone else.
If it was me, I would just take a really common name and a really common surname, you know? And that kind of works. Is Cooper a really common surname? I know Dan is a common name, unless it wasn't in the 70s. Way too many maybes? Yeah, I'm getting a few of them confused. I'm just assuming it had to be believable enough to get the ticket, and maybe that name was believable enough, you know? Like, I can't say, yeah, my name's Jane Doe at the airport. You think they're gonna let me in if I say my name's Jane Doe? They're not gonna let me in. I'm gonna be laughed out the door. I'm gonna be in handcuffs in a second. That won't work. You have to come up with something believable. Be smart, y'all. Be smart. But don't do crime. Don't do crime. Okay. I'm messing this up. Whatever.
Half a century has gone by since the hijacking took place, and in that time, thousands of suspects have been questioned and investigated. It would obviously be impossible to cover all of them here, but let's take a look at some of the people that at some point or another have been suspected of being D.B. Cooper. Robert Rackstraw first became a suspect in 1978,
I mean, I can
and on
see
the
it.
surface, he seems like a solid candidate.
Yeah.
He was a decorated Army paratrooper and helicopter pilot. He had experience with explosives. He had an extensive criminal record. He had a
military background. Okay. I mean, I guess they're gonna go to the people that have a criminal record before, you know, but...
uncle named John Cooper
I miss
who
my
was an
wife,
avid
Discs.
I forgot I miss my wife too.
skydiver. He was expelled from the army only months before the hijacking, which might suggest a motive.
It probably
After all,
will.
the hijacker did say he had a grudge. When confronted by journalists and private investigators, Rackstraw would neither confirm nor outright deny that he was D.B. Cooper. Instead, he'd say things like, "I could have been," or "I would not discount myself." On the other hand,
Imagine he's just saying that to mess with the police. He's not it at all, but he just holds such a grudge from it that he just decides to fuck with the police report. If you do crime, make sure you're... Oh, nope, we are not reading that out loud. No one read that. You gotta keep it
Rackstraw
YouTube TOS, okay guys? You need to keep it like actual TOS. I don't want to get sniped on YouTube. Thank you. YouTube makes me my money. Thank you. I won't be able to do cool things anymore. You want side-eye? Okay, I'll give you side-eye. You know what? YouTube can see my side-eye too. Let's do it. Here you go. There you go. There's your side eye. I go back to my corner now. Thank you. I go back to my corner and we finish this video.
Had light-colored eyes, which Cooper did not. More
Did you just call me beautiful? Mods? Mods? I can't say that. I was gonna say something bad. Mods, warn the guy. I'm joking. Everything's fine. Everything's fine. I did not think of extremely. My first thought was, I will bite your ankles.
significantly, Rackstraw was only 28 years of age at the time of the hijacking. This is well outside the range of ages reported
Yeah,
by
that
the
is a
crew and
bit.
passengers, most of whom believed Cooper was in his mid-40s. Kenneth Christensen first became a suspect in 2003 when his brother
He looks
noticed
so
certain
smug in this picture. He looks so smug.
parallels between him and Cooper. Christensen had briefly served as a paratrooper in World War II, and since 1953 he'd worked for Northwest Airlines as both a mechanic and a flight
I
attendant.
see.
He was 45 years old at the time of the hijacking. He was left-handed, which Cooper might have been. For instance, Cooper
Yeah, and
used
he might have been right-handed too. What the fuck does that mean? What does being left-handed have to do with it? Well, he might have been left-handed. Yeah, he also might have been right-handed. I'm totally not saying this. I'm saying this as a left-handed person who's salty. Like, why is that being brought up? Am I crazy to think that that's a dumb point?
his left hand to
Do
interact
they just
with
not
his
like left-handed people? Be honest.
briefcase, and the clip-on tie he left on board was affixed with a tie clasp applied from the left.
Okay.
Shortly before he died in 1994,
I mess up and I
Christensen
get things clasped on the right all the time. Like, I still get scissors that are made for right-handed people when I'm left-handed. So...
had supposedly told his brother, "There is something you should know, but I cannot tell
Oh.
you." After his passing, his family discovered over $200,000 in his bank accounts. To top it all off, Florence Schaffner stated that photographs of Christensen bore a strong resemblance to Cooper. On the other hand, Christensen did not match the physical description of Cooper. He was both shorter and lighter. While Schaffner did see a strong resemblance, she remarked that Cooper had more hair, and that is supported by the composite sketches. And there was nothing suspicious about the large sums of money which he'd simply earned by selling land. Richard McCoy first became a suspect in 1972 when he hijacked a Boeing 727 and escaped via the aft stairway, much like D.B. Cooper.
So he just did the same thing? Okay.
Because of
I
the
guess.
significant overlap between the two hijackings, some believe they must have been committed by the same
Maybe,
person.
but I don't
McCoy
think
used a
so.
fake name, he used a fake hand grenade to threaten the crew, he used handwritten notes to issue his demands. Both McCoy and
Yeah, that's
Cooper
what I think. It could just be a copycat crime, like somebody who read up on what Cooper did and immediately, or just decided to do that again. You know? To think that they could get away with it? It could be that.
used the phrase "no funny stuff" as a warning to the crew. McCoy demanded $500,000 in cash and 4 parachutes. McCoy also bailed out the back of the plane once they passed over his hometown in the state of Utah. Apart from the similar modus operandi, McCoy had also served in the Vietnam War as a demolitions expert and a helicopter
wow.
pilot. McCoy did actually survive the fall and managed to evade authorities for 2 full days
2
before he was
days?
apprehended and sentenced to 45 years in prison. Before his death in 1974, McCoy refused to confirm or deny that he was D.B. Cooper. On the other hand, McCoy was an avid recreational skydiver and even came prepared with a skydiving helmet and jumpsuit.
Yeah.
He gave very specific instructions about the flight path. In addition to the fake hand grenade, McCoy
Like,
also used
if I were to hijack... Okay, in Minecraft, if I were to hijack a plane, I wouldn't tell them to go a specific route. I'd probably do the same of telling them to just fly a route they could pick, and then jump off without letting them see me, you know, at a random point, exactly like they did. Having them follow a route, like a specific one, just makes it easier to track you down, no? You think that? I think that it would make it easier to track you down. Because then they're gonna check, like, what happened. Or if there's anyone that has that experience in the area. So, I don't know.
an unloaded handgun to threaten the crew. He failed to
Bye-bye, have
retrieve
a good one!
one of the notes he'd given to a flight attendant. He was only 29 years of age at the time of the
Oh.
hijacking, and all 3 flight attendants were quite certain that McCoy was not Cooper. While there are meaningful parallels between these 2 cases,
I just saw, was he left-handed though? I don't know, but they have ops against people that are left-handed.
McCoy might simply have been a copycat who'd read about D.B. Cooper in the
Yeah,
news.
I thought that might have been it.
Dwayne Weber first became a suspect in 1995 when, shortly before his death, he supposedly told his wife, "I've got a secret to tell you. I am Dan Cooper." Following his deathbed confession, Weber's widow recalled a number of
I don't know
fascinating
about
details.
that.
She claims to have found a bank bag resembling the one used in the hijacking. She claims Weber had sustained a knee injury after jumping out of a plane. Weber supposedly had a nightmare about leaving his fingerprints on the aft stairs. And a year before the money was discovered at Tina Bar, Weber had allegedly paid a quick visit to the same location. In addition, Weber was a World War II veteran, he had an extensive criminal record, he'd matched the physical description, and he was 47 years old in
I mean,
1970.
maybe, but But was he left-handed? We need to know. Because I don't believe all this. Nah, we can't believe it. But was he left-handed? If he was left-handed, fucker did it. We don't care about the other facts. Is he left-handed?
On the other hand, Weber's fingerprints did not match any of the prints collected from Flight 305. Although, to be fair, there's no way to know if any of those prints actually belonged to Cooper. Furthermore, Weber's DNA did not match a DNA sample collected from the
Okay,
tie
but was he
clasp.
left-handed?
But once again, there's no way to know if the DNA on the tie clasp actually came from the hijacker and not someone else. What's so frustrating is that the FBI
He's
likely
not
had a
mentioning it. Then nah, he's not left-handed. I don't believe it. This is hearsay. Hearsay!
much better source of DNA
Don't
at
believe
one
it,
point.
guys.
If you recall, 8 cigarette butts were collected from the scene, and there's a good chance they were all suffused with Cooper's
I mean,
DNA.
Yeah.
The problem is, that evidence was lost at some point, and has not turned
How
up
do you
since.
lose? Whatever. I was gonna say,
Will-
unless he took the cigarettes with him, but I doubt it, because, you know, afterwards is when they searched the plane for stuff. Pine, did you do that? You're left-handed. Guys, I was born in the 2000s. I'm too young. I'm not over 40. And by time... I'm not 60 or 80. Come on, guys.
William Smith first became a suspect in 2018.
Come on.
Smith served in the Navy during World War II and likely had some experience with parachuting. He was 43 years old at the time of the hijacking. He had dark brown eyes. He matched the physical description. He shared a certain likeness with the composite sketches, especially this speculative sketch of an older D.B. Cooper. A student named Ira Daniel Cooper, who was killed in World War II, attended the same high school as
Huh.
Smith. Smith worked as a yardmaster for a railroad company for most of his life, but in 1970 the company filed for bankruptcy. As a consequence, Smith lost his pension, which might suggest a motive.
I mean, if you're grasping at straws, yeah, but why would... I don't know, there's probably a specific reason why he's gonna be beefing with the other stuff, but what? That's why.
He could, for instance, have developed a grudge towards the airline industry for their role in bringing about the downfall of the rail
That's
transportation industry.
insane. Because you... Imagine having beef against cars because you had a bike. I don't know how to explain it, but imagine having beef that cars were a thing because you wanted everybody to use bikes. I can't. I would not. That's not how to beef with it. I don't understand.
It's further speculated that Smith could have used his knowledge of railroad networks to hop on a train and escape undetected. On the other hand, Smith
He would
spent
be
his
really petty though if he did that, in which case that is very funny. That is absolutely hilarious if he was just that petty.
entire life in the northeastern United States, given that the hijacking occurred on the other side of the country and was committed by someone who at least appeared to be familiar with the local terrain. Smith is not the most ideal candidate.
You know that exact same thing is happening with AI art right now. Okay, I want you to explain it to me. How do you think that that's the same with AI art? I want to hear your argument. Please do. I would like to understand what you're saying. gonna hydrate while you type a response. Alright, I'm back. It was really good, by the way. I got this, like, lemonade. Oh, no, it's watermelon juice, but very watered down. Basically, one is supplying the other. Like, contest or skills versus effort. The thing is, I don't think it applies the same because you shouldn't be making money. No one should make money off of AI art, is the way I put it. So, I don't understand, because working at a train station and then being mad at planes, they're both jobs at least that humans have, but when it's AI art versus real artists, one of them just isn't a fucking human and it shouldn't be making money. Yeah, I know AI art's taking jobs away from artists. I think it just shouldn't be a thing in general, if I'm completely honest with you. I don't understand. I just don't understand what it's doing with this video in particular, like having beef. I don't understand. Do you guys understand? Can I have it explained to me? Do you guys understand? I would like to understand how it goes with AI art. My brain is not braining, so possibly would like it explained like I am a toddler. Thank you. Okay. Alright, I see. I'm just gonna finish the video, maybe. I just watch some more. We have a bit left.
However, the fact that Smith worked as a yardmaster is interesting. You see, the tie that Cooper left behind was recently examined using an electron microscope, which uncovered various metallic particles. Some of these particles, especially pure titanium, were quite rare in 1971. This might suggest that Cooper worked as a manager at some sort of chemical or metallurgical facility.
Maybe.
Or possibly a rail yard.
I guess that kind of makes sense. Yeah.
If nothing else, I hope this limited selection of suspects illustrates just how difficult it is to be certain when you have so little evidence to work with. These 5 individuals look nothing alike, yet any one of them could be.
I'm sorry, I just keep thinking about how smug the guy in the middle is, or just how happy. Look at how smug that image is. Look at that big smile. Look at that smile. Just what a smug smile. You gotta like that smile.
Cooper. Was Cooper really in his mid-40s, or did he simply look old for his age? Did Cooper really serve in the military? Which one of these sketches most closely resemble Cooper? In 2016, the FBI had to admit defeat and officially close down the case. Unless someone stumbles upon Cooper's remains or manages to track down the rest of the money, it seems there is little hope of resolution.
Oh dang, a real mystery.
Did Cooper survive? I have no idea. But as long as that possibility cannot be dismissed, the legend of D.B. Cooper will no doubt persist.
Damn, okay. Well, I guess it actually is just a full-blown mystery. I don't know. I just feel like you should just learn how to draw. You should just learn how to draw. I know that it sounds bad for people that use AI art. Just learn how to draw, dude. It takes time to learn, and I get it. You don't want to take the time to learn it. I understand that, but just fucking start. That's all you have to do. I wanted to get better at drawing again, so I just started drawing again. If you put in the effort, your time spent will show in your art, okay? AI artists taking jobs away from artists as a try to say the industry is taking piece of transition to the routes. I guess that, yeah, that does make more sense to me. Thank you, Ninja. That understands. I understand, yeah. Thank you. My brain was dumb for a minute. Thank you for explaining it to me like I was a 5-year-old. Thanks. Well, hopefully there's not too many people on YouTube that are very mad at me right now. Apologies. Apologies. Thank you for being here and for watching and all that. Bye-bye, YouTube. Everyone say bye, YouTube. Goodbye. That's what the baby in your name means. Oh, fuck you. But goodbye. Bye, YouTube. Thank you for joining. Make sure to like and subscribe. Yep. Bye. Bye. I'm so stupid.